Thanks, Acting President. I rise today to speak on the Worker Screening Bill and commend the government for proactively joining Victoria up to this scheme, which will streamline the process for NDIS workers and protect our vulnerable and disabled Victorians. Now, traditionally and practically, members would stand up and speak on what's in the bill, but I'm going to do something different today and talk about what's not in the bill. What's missing from this bill is for the government to commit to a no clearance, no start policy for working with children's checks, or at least some reform in this space, so that we can potentially better prevent crimes from happening rather than being reactive. I'm not sure if members remember a case from late last year where Hugh Lean, a convicted pedophile, was sentenced for disgraceful crimes against children. He had infiltrated a Melbourne junior football club and befriended a family there in 2008. He ended up sleeping in the bed of one of the brothers and molesting and committing lewd acts on the young boy. He was able to do this despite having convictions for a 2002 rape and an indecent act with a child under 16, but also a 2008 conviction of soliciting a 14-year-old for sex. Now, it's needless to say that if this young boy's families knew about Lean's convictions, they would have never have allowed him into their home. And whilst it is also needless to say that working with children's checks have changed since 2008, and especially since this crime took place, there is still no requirement for working with children's checks applicants to have an approved clearance before they begin working or volunteering. It can take up to 8 weeks to get your official check, but in that time, legally, all you need to do is, for your employer and organisation, is to show the receipt. To me, that is akin to being able to drive a car without passing your test. And in my view, it shouldn't happen, because in the short term at least, it defeats the purpose of the check itself. I've heard the argument made in response to there not being a no clearance, no start policy for working with children's checks, that there basically isn't enough people doing the wrong thing to warrant organisations or employers waiting. I personally think that if we're taking a cautious approach with our disabled Victorians to ensure that they're not taken advantage of, then we should do the same with our kids in all environments, as they are vulnerable too. On this note, it became apparent to me some time ago that supermarkets and other similar industries like retail and hospitality don't require a completed worker with children's checks for their employees upon employment. Now, in a workplace where adults work with children for extended hours without supervision, and a lot of the time, why isn't this a requirement? I understand it's more of a regulatory decision, but it would be great for the state government to have these conversations, as I have done, to encourage the retail and hospitality industries to take this step. I'm not in the business of wanting to create extra bureaucracy by any means, but it seems bizarre that netball and football clubs have unpaid volunteers who spend their time collecting working with children's checks and information, or receipts, as I've spoken about, from their coaches, but profiting businesses don't need to commit this vigilant step. When Darren Hinch was a senator, he had success in getting McDonald's Corporation to require an approved working with children's checks for all adult employees. This was an outstanding achievement, and I hope other businesses follow suit in taking the initiative on their own. So in summary, we will be supporting this bill, but we absolutely also encourage the government to explore proactive, precautious reform in the working with children's checks space in the very near future. Thank you.